Hello and welcome to this chess tips video. So I had a viewer recommend that I speak more about chess move advantages and vulnerabilities. So I'll try to do that as I point out tips in this game. I'm playing against a 2000 rated computer. So my opponent has just played pawn to d4. Now what is the advantage of this move? Well, it takes some real estate in the center of the board. It gives you space. It attacks a important central square. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to play d5, and now immediately my opponent attacks. Now, what's the advantage of this? You're either allowing your opponent to capture a more valuable central pawn with a less valuable flank pawn, or if I capture them, that pulls my valuable central pawn away from the center and I'm no longer covering this square here. That could allow my opponent to put both pawns in the center on ideal squares there. So I am just going to I could develop a knight out to protect that, but instead I'm just going to defend with a pawn. So the advantage of that, if they capture, I can recapture. Let's see, what next? The pressure is piling up. They're threatening to attack there. I'm just going to develop another knight. The advantage of that move is knights are a little bit slower. So develop them early. Also, it gives you time to see where you want to place your bishops. Now here, I could capture with a piece or a pawn, but if I capture with a piece, the knight, they could push the other pawn and attack my knight. So I'm going to capture with the pawn and keep the pawns equal in the center here. So now we have a threat against my knight. It's being pinned. So what should I do here? I'm going to go ahead and just fortify my pawn there. My knight is pinned to the queen. So I want to break that pin. That's the advantage of this bishop to e7 move. Maybe a vulnerability in this move. It's a little more passive and defensive. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'll leave this bishop here for the moment, and I'm just going to bring the other knight up. That way, if this one is captured, the other knight can recapture and end up on a better square. So now I'm going to go ahead and force that bishop to make a decision. All right. So what we can do here is continue attacking this bishop and try and get rid of the opponent's bishop pair. A bishop pair can be an advantage, especially if you have it and your opponent does not have the bishop pair, because then you'll have that extra bishop or two bishops that cover a certain color squares, and your opponent will not be able to counter that if their bishop is lost. So what should we do here? Let's just go after the bishop. So we're going to knock out the bishop pair. Now that did help him open up the E file. So we're going to go ahead, bring our knight forward, get ready to castle. So we're going to go ahead and castle since our opponent has castled as well. And now there's going to be a fight for this open E file. So you definitely want to try and cover that if you can, or fight for it, not just let your opponent have the E file. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and fight for the E file by allowing the rooks to counter one another. Well, now, am I being given a pawn here? There's an unprotected pawn. So I think I can just capture that. All right. The advantages and vulnerabilities of a move. If I capture this, the advantage is I go up a pawn. Are there any vulnerabilities to that move? Well, they could attack my bishop, maybe by pushing a pawn, and then I have to retreat. Oh, there's a possibility of going here, delivering a check. So that's a possibility. Huh. And then they'll fork my king. All right. Well, I could just give up my bishop pair. I could just go ahead and capture there, then take the pawn and just be up a pawn. So maybe I'll go ahead and do that. Why not? That's a bad bishop blocked in by a pawn in the center. So now I'm ahead by a pawn, or I will be ahead by a pawn. I might as well just trade off material. So I think we should just go ahead and do that. But should I trade the rooks off first? Maybe I trade the rooks off first, but I don't want my opponent getting control of that open file. So I'm just going to go ahead and snatch up a pawn. So now I'm ahead that pawn. Might as well go here. Retreat because I was under attack. And now I could go here and line up on my opponent's king. That can be a good strategy. All right. So now the problem is if we exchange rooks, his rook will take control of the e-file. So if I fight with my rook, his queen could attack me, attack my knight. That's a possibility. All right, let's go ahead and trade off. All right, we're attacking. Okay, we'll just keep attacking. All right, now, I could just attack their queen. So I might as well do that. So by trading off more material, the game might end up being a little more drawish, but at least, when you're ahead by a pawn, you want to trade pieces off the board. Now my opponent should be trying to trade pawns off. And also, we have opposite colored bishops, so that's more drawish. I could go ahead and push this pawn and try and get my pawns off the same colored squares as my opponent. And that can be a good idea. Let's see here. Now I have a pawn majority over here, and my opponent has this weaker, isolated pawn. Only thing is, this is the base of the chain under attack. And I might just help my opponent get rid of their passed pawn. There's not, once I move this pawn, the vulnerability that will be created by moving this pawn is this. This pawn, can I even defend that? All right, I guess we're pushing that. And then we're going to push the other pawn maybe. Although I could try and bring my king towards the center, and that's something you definitely want to do if you can into the end game. So I'm going to bring this king up. All right, now I can defend the pawn, and his bishop is almost trapped. So now, what do we want to do? Oh, did I trap my own bishop? Almost. Almost trapped my own bishop. Oh, I could let them capture mine, but he could capture a pawn. He would be left with doubled pawns, though, if that happened. So I'm going to do that, because then those doubled pawns could become targets for my king here. I can bring my king up here and go after those pawns. So that was the vulnerability that he created. Now I can pick that off, go after the other pawn, and then I will have queenside passed pawns over here. Now, since the knights are the only pieces that are the only pieces on the board other than the kings, I should try and activate my knight as well. But I need to get my king into the action. So, and maybe prevent his king from doing anything. So I'm going to go here, put pressure on this pawn. Huh. Okay, well now I can probably need to start pushing my pawns where I have the advantage over here. Now what could he try and do? Push forward. Okay, I need to figure out how to activate my knight. Maybe go here, here, and here, and put pressure on that pawn. But, that's a lot of moves. What could he do? He could try and go here in the meantime. All right, I think I have to do it. I think I have to go there, jump forward to here. Okay, now, oh, it's a fork. Okay, well, at least I can go after this in the meantime. Okay, what can they do? Okay, I'm going to go after that. And now I have a passed pawn that's going to be very strong here. Okay. What can they do? If I get that moving, all right, I think I need to do that. We'll just get that passed pawn rolling up the board. Okay. If they take that here, if I push this pawn, they take and they're capturing, then he could fork. So I kind of need to push that. All right. right, well now I can just start. Oh, he's going to go after this. So, can I ignore that? If I go here and he takes my pawn here, and then I push forward to here, can he stop that? All right, that's where the calculation comes in. So if I go here, let's take a look at this. I go here, he goes here. I go here, now what? He'll try and stop me. I mean, I could just push my knight up and protect. So why not do that? There, we'll just protect. Now I can start pushing this forward. All right. Now, I could just ignore that, promote my queen. He says that he thinks he might see a combination. But do I want to give up this knight? I mean, does it even matter? Okay, if I go here, he takes my knight, I promote, but then I have this passed pawn to deal with. So I might as well take this pawn out with me if I'm going to. So we'll just go there. All right, so now we're pretty much winning. So he created a vulnerability by, allowing me. Well, first he created the vulnerability of those doubled pawns, and I was able to take advantage of that. And then it gave me the advantage of having these passed pawns over here. So now we'll just use our queen to win. Let's see, what would be best here? The quickest way to go after him. I mean, we could check here, protect this pawn. He'd probably go here. And I don't know, we pretty much just need to activate our queen. So let's go here. And then we can knock out this pawn. All right, what now? We'll just pick that off. See, and then we just get rid of any any counterplay that he could have. Okay, so that's pretty much over. Let me go ahead and I just have to watch out I don't stalemate him by accident. So I'll go ahead and bring my king up to help. But a good way to finish your opponent off with just the queen and the king is to move the queen a knight move away and slowly block them, and push them to the edge of the board. Now, if they already go to the edge like that, I can just move a knight move away, but this also cuts off the king and he's stuck on the back rank. So now, what do I do? I can just bring the knight in, threaten a mate in one here. And then we'll just use the knight and queen. They work well together, so that's an advantage of having a knight and queen attacking together. So the king is trapped and the knight can deliver the mate here. All right, so I'll take a quick look at the game review and see what level both of us played at. This was a 2000 rated computer, so it looks like I played with 90.2% accuracy. My opponent played with 81.1% accuracy. And it looks like I had an advantage and gave it away. So I'll have to see what that advantage was that I just gave away. And then the game was even again before I slowly got another advantage. So here it says, if you can see this, it looks like the computer played at a 2050 level and I played at a 2400 level, I guess. I don't know how accurate that is because I'm not a chess master. So I don't know. Sometimes I can play at a higher level, but the reason I'm probably not a higher rated player is because my games are erratic sometimes. I can have a really good game and then, followed up by a really bad game, but that happens to everybody. That's possible for anybody. All right, so in the opening, I played, or my opponent played with 97.2% accuracy. I played with 100% accuracy in the opening. So I guess we had I'll have to look at that opening. After I do this quick game review, I'll pull up the computer and we can really see what was going on. All right. Bad moves and blunders. It looks like my opponent had 8 inaccuracies. I had 2. They had 2 mistakes. I had 1. I had 1 missed opportunity, and my opponent had 1 blunder. So instead of, you have to let me know in comments if you'd like to see more of just the game review, or do you want me to dig in with the computer and show you more? I mean, the video would probably be dragging out kind of long if I, do this game review and the computer analysis, which is what I do in the Quest for 2000 series. But that video ends up being an hour long. All right, so we have D4, the advantage. It gains space in the center. It controls a valuable central square. It helps you, develop your bishop here. And, this D4 move by white leads to usually more strategic games, whereas if you push E4, the games are more tactical, the majority of the time, not always. Okay, so we had this crazy exchange in the center, but we have a half-open E file and a half-open C file. So the advantage of the half-open E file is that black has an opening to place a rook and maybe attack, whereas white has a half-open C file to attack with the rooks. So we put the question to the bishop here, and the bishop retreats. We attack and trade off the bishop pair. So this is a mistake, a blunder here. So a blunder is made, and it looks like, did we find the best move here? Yes, the best move was to give up our bishop pair, but we come out a pawn ahead. So we grab that pawn, and now being ahead a pawn, you want to trade off pieces. Whereas the opponent who's behind a pawn, they should be trading off pawns if they can. All right, so this was a mistake, but I figured, well, if I'm ahead and I trade off the queens, I'm still closer to winning because I have that extra pawn. If all the pieces were traded off and you have an extra pawn, unless they're doubled, usually you can win that way. So let's see, what would have been best here? It would have been better to just attack that bishop and send it retreating back. Or it could go forward and put pressure on this, but my queen is covering that at the moment anyway. So maybe they would retreat back to here, push this pawn to block the scope of my bishop, and then fianchetto maybe. So in the game, what did we have actually happen? So we traded queens. the opponent plays a great move attacking my pawn at the base of the chain. So that's an advantage of this move, attacking the base of the pawn chain, forcing me to push that forward and create a new base of the chain which could be attacked. So, that is what the computer recommends, attacking the base of the chain. But this was played a mistake. What's the vulnerability of this mistake or this move? Well, let's see. It does give me time to move my king towards the center, I guess. But I had a missed opportunity, so let's see what that was. So best would have been, apparently it would have been better to bring my bishop up here, cutting off these squares so my king or my opponent's king can't move towards the center. So I missed that opportunity. All right, well, let's okay, hold on. That's not what I wanted to show you. Let's go back here. So here they should have pushed forward. This is the mistake move. So best would have been that. Let's look at the moves that follow that up. If they go here, I don't know why they would do that. I just picked that off. Now I'm ahead another pawn. So this is what the computer has in mind. But now I have a central passed pawn. I have a pawn majority. Once my king gets into the board, that could be enough to win. There are opposite colored bishops, and that can be more drawish. All right, in the game, this pawn pushes forward. Another mistake, apparently. And what do I do about that? Anything? It's blasting through the moves. Let me go back to their mistake and see what we could have done there. And what should they have played? Apparently they should have, once again, attacked the base of this little two-pawn chain here. So I played that, but apparently, once again, I should have brought my bishop up here to cut off the king from being able to come into the center and help. Okay. In the game, we go back. So that move was not the best move. What should they have done? It looks like they should have captured. Okay, because this move, it helped push my king forward. So now when they capture, all I have to do is just go here and go after these doubled pawns. So that's pretty much what won me the game, those vulnerable pawns over there. And then now I have a majority of passed pawns over here. Or not a majority, but two passed pawns. So yeah, at this point, I'm just winning. I'm ahead by 7. So here's the final moves of the game. We just, once we get that queen, it was all over. All right, well, feel free to leave comments. Let me know what your opinions are. If you have anything to say, I always like hearing from viewers and subscribers. Please like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. And thank you for watching. Have a super chess day.